Hi guys and welcome back. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make this white chocolate cake. Let's begin. To start on the recipe, you'll want to grab yourself a mixing bowl, and into the mixing bowl place your butter and your granulated sugar and beat the two together until they are lighter and fluffier in colour and consistency. This normally takes around 7 to 10 minutes over a medium or high speed. Once you've achieved light and fluffy, you can go ahead and add in your eggs one at a time, beating well in between each addition. You may notice that the mixture it becomes a lot looser. Don't worry, this is completely normal. Once all of your eggs have been incorporated, you can go ahead and give the bowl a good scraping down. This is just to incorporate any bits that may not have been fully worked in from earlier on. Once you've given the bowl a good scraping down, you can go ahead and sieve in your dry ingredients. You'll want to pass it through a sieve first, just to remove any lumps that may be in the mixture, and as you can tell, I do have a few. But don't worry, just crush them down with a spatula or just dispose of them, and then you'll just want to incorporate the dry ingredients over a low speed to start with, otherwise you'll end up with flour everywhere in your kitchen, which isn't ideal. Once it's incorporated, you can turn the speed up a little bit to more of a medium. Once the flour has almost been fully incorporated, you can then go ahead and add in some milk, and this is just to help with the consistency and make the batter lighter. Then again, you can give the bowl a good scraping down, just to incorporate any bits that may not have been fully worked in from earlier on. You can then go ahead and add in the melted white chocolate, but you don't want it to be very hot, otherwise it will ruin the cake batter. Melt it and then cool it down, then add in chocolate chips and mix that in until it's fully incorporated. You can then go ahead and divide the cake batter between your cake tins. I'm using two 6-inch and two 4-inch tins, as I didn't have my 3 6-inch tins at home. So to make the buttercream, you'll want to grab yourself a saucepan, and into the saucepan place your sugar and water, then mix the two together until they are fairly combined. You can then transfer the saucepan onto a hob over a medium-high heat and allow it to come up to temperature. All of that information will be on the blog post linked below. Then into your mixing bowl, you'll want to go ahead and add in your egg yolks and whole egg and whisk it until it's lighter and fluffier in colour and consistency. By the time your eggs are ready, your mixture on the hob should have come up to temperature. That's how you know to time it right. Once your mixture on the hob has come to the right temperature, you'll want to remove it straight from the hob and pour it into your mixing bowl over a low speed. Don't do it over a high speed, otherwise it'll splash everywhere and getting this on your skin would burn. You'd be better to try and pour this more down the side of the bowl if you're a bit nervous, but don't worry, if you have it on a low speed it shouldn't have any impact. Just continue to whisk it until you can touch the bottom of the bowl with the back of your hand. Once you can do that, you can then start adding in your butter in small bits at a time. As you add the butter, you may notice that the mixture looks a bit soupy, but don't worry, once all the butter has been fully incorporated, it will start to thicken up, and once it's cooled, it will be perfect. You can then go ahead and add in the white chocolate or the white chocolate spread, followed by some vanilla, just for extra flavour, and then mix it in until it's fully incorporated. Set aside until you need it later on. So once your cakes have been baked and fully cooled, you can then level them off, then generously brush over with simple syrup and set aside until you need to stack them, which will be in a short while. So to start the assembly of the cake, grab your plate, stand or board, and into the centre of it place a small amount of buttercream and smear it into a thin layer. Then place on your first layer of cake, pressing down to secure it in place. Then top that with a good amount of buttercream, spread it out until you have one level, consistent layer of buttercream, and top that with jam. I'm using winterberry jam, but feel free to use your choice of jam. Once the jam has been added, you can place your second layer of cake on, pressing down to secure. You can then go ahead and apply a crumb coat. This is just a thin layer of buttercream that will lock all of those pesky crumbs in so they won't ruin your final coat. Once you've got the crumb coat on, you'll want to scrape it as thinly as possible so it doesn't impact the outer layer. This extra buttercream just discard, as you don't want to get any crumbs into the final layer. Place into the fridge until it burns up. You can repeat the process that you've just done with the bigger cake on the smaller cake. I won't go through it again. It's just the cake, buttercream, jam, second layer of cake, and then the crumb coat. Set in the fridge, let it firm up, and then you can work with it later on. Then to finish the cake, you'll want to apply the final layer of buttercream, which is really easy. You can apply as much or as little as you like. I went with a medium layer as this buttercream is very rich. So once you've got the buttercream on there, you can scrape away the excess to try and get the smooth sides. You should be able to do it pretty easily as this buttercream is very silky and smooth. Don't forget to level and smooth off the top, as some people forget to do this. If you're not putting another tier on, don't worry. But then just to add a pop of colour, I've got these blue sprinkles. And I apply these to the bottom edge just to add a pop of colour and break away from the quite boring beigey colours of the cake. So as an optional decoration, you can go ahead and make some meringue kisses. Grab yourself a mixing bowl and place in your egg whites and whisk them on their own until they are frothy. You can then go ahead and add in the food colouring. I'm using a gel, but feel free to use a gel or a paste and mix that in until it's fully incorporated. The mixture will be very bright at this stage. Then you can start adding the sugar, roughly 1 teaspoon at a time, mixing until it's fully incorporated. Mix it until you can't feel any of the sugar granules in between your fingers when you feel some of the mixture. You can then place the meringue mixture into a piping bag. Feel free to fit it with a nozzle, but I didn't on this occasion. So grab yourself a baking tray and using a small amount of the mixture, just pipe some into the corners of the baking tray and just press down the paper to secure it in place. This way, when it's in the oven, the sheet of paper won't move. Onto the baking tray, which has been lined, I then pipe on small amounts for the meringue kisses. Feel free to customise the size, as I went with 2 different sizes, some smaller, some larger. And on the smaller ones, I just took some of the sprinkles that was on the bottom tier of the cake and just sprinkled them on top. Once you've got all of your meringue mixture piped out, or however much you need, you can then place these into the oven. All of that information will be on the blog post, which will be linked down below. So once you're ready to, feel free to add a white chocolate grip onto the cake. I just feel like it adds a little pop and something a little different. It breaks away from the colour, although it almost blends in. It just adds something to the cake. You can do this however you like. I'm just using white chocolate spread and melted it, but feel free to make a white chocolate ganache. Once you've got the second tier on top of the cake, you can then go ahead and just start to do the white chocolate drip on the second tier as well. Again, this is optional, but I just find it adds something visually. As you can tell, the top of my cake isn't very neat. Don't worry, we can hide this. So I had some leftover buttercream and then I just pipe a rope border on top. Not the neatest, but it does the job, so hey, why not? Then fill the centre in with some of the sprinkles and topped the rope off with some of the meringues with the sprinkles on. You can then go ahead and place the cake into the fridge until it firms up. Then cut into it and enjoy. Here is what my cake looked like once I was cutting into it to serve it. As you can tell, you've got 2 layers of light and fluffy cake with a centre of the buttercream and the winterberry jam, or whatever jam you're using. So thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more from me, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another recipe, so join me then. Don't forget, in the meanwhile, to check out the description of the video. There'll be a link to this recipe, a link to my blog, and links to all my social medias where I'm trying to post more daily during bakemas. But that's all for today, I hope you enjoyed. Bye guys.